This evening, I'd like to look at Psalm 10. It is one of the more dramatic psalms of the Bible and is really fiery, and at the same time holds a really important place in my heart. And the reason is because this is actually, I think, the first psalm I ever prayed against someone. You kind of never forget that. I prayed the Psalms for people, but this is the first time I prayed it against someone. I had someone at the time that was just pretty much being abusive to other people and taking advantage of people around them and maybe taking advantage of the power that they had. And it was just kind of a bad time to be in my shoes, I guess. I don't know. I just, no matter what I did, I think as a fellow believer, so I didn't pray this against the person and in total. I prayed against their flesh. And I've said this numerous times, but I mean, that's how you have to learn to pray against people in the Psalms. Sometimes people we love, sometimes our own children, if Absalom is any indication, but we do pray against their flesh because people's flesh is in complete rebellion against God, and sometimes people, even believers, are being really controlled by their flesh, and this person was, and no matter what I did, it was like banging my head against the wall, and I just didn't have the words, because when you're praying in a really hard situation, you're not quite sure what you can and can't pray. You don't know. We don't have the words. We don't pray imprecatory prayers very much. That's when you pray against someone and prayer for judgment. We don't do that a lot. And so it didn't roll off my tongue because I had been trying to love my enemies, for the last 45 years. And I was so thankful that this psalm was here because I'd already been praying for the Psalms for probably a couple of years. But so I knew it was coming. I was in the midst of this kind of crisis with this person, and then I know Psalm 10's coming because I prayed Psalm 9, I know 10 is next, and I know what it means, and so I decided then and there I'm just going to pray this against their flesh, and I did, and it was wonderful. It gave the Psalm 10. It's why I pray the Bible. Psalm 10 welcomed me into prayers I wouldn't feel comfortable praying on my own. It allowed me to picture what this person was really doing and let me kind of call a spade and pray for God to handle it as such. It just gave me what I needed, and that's why I pray the Psalms. I don't wait for Psalms to match my circumstance. I just go through them, and sometimes, thank goodness, in this situation, I actually came to it at a time when I desperately needed it, because it just gave me the words. It gave me the template, and it was so helpful. And it's, I'd already started, like I said, been praying the Psalms for a couple of years, and I kind of knew I was in on it. I was like, yeah, this is me. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I want to be. But then this just opened up a whole new understanding of why the Psalms are there. God saved us, but he didn't just whisk us away. He left us in a world that is confused and evil. And we're in a world today of just people oppressing other people, people fighting other people, people raging, people taking advantage of the strength they have, people craving power. And that's the world we're left in. And I'm so grateful that God did not leave us alone. I mean, clearly he gave us his Spirit, but he also gave us the Psalms that actually interact with that world. What a horrible thing it would be if God had just left us here with the Spirit and a bunch of praise songs. Ugh, this isn't a praise song. So as you listen to this and as you pray it, and as you see the picture that it creates, see the world that it creates of this power-hungry person kind of lording power over these other people, and that God fights, and God will right those wrongs, but it will also help us understand that kind of rebellion, and we'll see it in clear pictures of words. Always, as I pray to be like a child. O Lord, my heart is not lifted up. My eyes are not raised too high. I do not concern myself with things that are too great or too marvelous for me. But I have calmed and I have quieted my soul. Like a weaned child with its mother is my soul within me. O Lord, deliver us from bullies. Psalm 10. Why, O Lord, do you stand far away? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble? In arrogance, the wicked hotly pursue the poor. Let them be caught in the schemes that they have devised. For the wicked boasts of the desires of his soul, and the one greedy for gain curses and renounces the Lord. In the pride of his face, the wicked does not seek him, God. In all his thoughts, he thinks there is no God. His ways prosper at all times. Your judgments are on high. They're out of his sight. As for all his foes, he puffs at them. He says in his heart, I shall not be moved. Throughout all generations, I shall not meet adversity. His mouth is filled with cursing and deceit and oppression, and under his tongue are mischief and iniquity. He sits in ambush in the villages, in hiding places. He murders the innocent. His eyes stealthily watch for the helpless. He lurks in ambush like a lion in his thicket. He lurks that he may seize the poor. He seizes the poor when he draws him into his net. And the helpless are crushed. They sink down and they fall by his might. And he says in his heart, God has forgotten. God has hidden his face. He will never see it. Arise, O Lord. O God, lift up your hand. Forget not the afflicted. Why does the wicked renounce God and say in his heart, you will not call to account? You do see, for you note mischief and vexation, that you may take it into your hands. To you, the helpless commits himself. You have been the helper of the fatherless. Break the arm of the wicked and the evildoer. Call his wickedness to account till you find none. The Lord is king forever and ever. The nations perish from his hand. O Lord, you hear the desire of the afflicted. You will strengthen their heart. You will incline your ear to do justice to the fatherless and the oppressed, so that man, who is of the earth, may strike terror no more. Amen.